Well, hey guys, so these last couple posts on the community tab about, if you could only have one firearm, one rifle for the rest of your life, what would you pick? And some of you probably think I'm nuts because it looks kind of like I made the same poll twice. But what I learned is that YouTube cuts out words that you underline or bold. In that second poll, there was a set of parentheses that had in it for survival, for defense, for any need. Just to clarify that I wasn't just talking about big game hunting. In that first post, I think some took it to be, well, for big game hunting, this is the one I would pick if it could be for the rest of my life. And I meant for the poll to be one rifle, one cartridge for everything that you would need for the rest of your life. Defense, hunting, survival, all those things. So anyway, sorry about that. I guess I learned my lesson with YouTube not wanting anything but basic text, which is interesting. But I love everybody's participation and appreciate it a lot. It's so fun to see the comments and get everybody's take on it. And I'm just going to share my take on that. And I formed my thoughts on this not that many years ago when I guess, in my opinion, things started getting kind of crazy and you were like, gosh, what's going to happen here? Are we going to have a scenario where we've got to bail out and live in the mountains with our family? Just who knew? And who knows still, right? So at that time, I really started thinking about the situation, and I came to the conclusion that for me, the ideal cartridge and rifle would be 22 long rifle. And my thought process is, one, in the hands of a skilled marksman, that can be very deadly on like deer-sized game. Certainly in a defensive situation, it can be very deadly. And ammo is super prevalent, and you can carry a lot of it. Like you could carry the 22 long rifle ammo that you would need for years in a pouch like this, okay? This can carry about 150 rounds of 22 long rifle in this little pouch, right? These cute little buggers. I also felt like I would want it to be like a lever action, okay? A Henry, Browning, some type of lever, a Marlin, the old school Marlins. They really can't break down. Like a Ruger 1022, that could be okay, but it's going to be a little more susceptible to breakdown, cleaning needs, things like that. I think I've got a old Marlin tube-fed lever action that I got from my dad, and he never cleaned it. It was just a workhorse. That thing probably has several thousand rounds through it, never been cleaned, functions just fine. So that's kind of my thought process, and let's just look at some comparisons here on the table. Now look, I love 12 gauge, and 12 gauge would be a great choice. It's just really hard to carry ammo, a lot of ammo with it. The same would go for any of those centerfire rifles. 308 would be tough to carry ammo. 223 would be easier, but nothing like 22. So, and I know some people are going to say, well, there's no power, it's so low in power and energy. Yeah, that's a trade-off. You have to evaluate those trade-offs, right? Ammo, the ability to carry it, the ability for a really maybe more compact or lighter weight functioning rifle, things like that. So let me turn the camera around here and we'll just do some comparisons. Well, here we've got, like I say, these little, compared to the size of my hand, I've always liked these little Colpin 22 ammo carriers. I'm able to get about 150 rounds in one of those. Here's a box of a Gila, which I really like, by the way, for 22. 250 rounds, and that's got a lot of loose room in there, but again, something that that fits in my hand or easily under the size of my hand is 250 rounds. Whereas here's 50 rounds of 308. Now granted, this isn't the most efficient way. If you took these 50 rounds out and you put them in a Ziploc bag or something, it's going to take up less space than the box. But you get my point. It's going to take up a lot more space than these. And then I just have a 308 sitting there with a 12 gauge. And obviously 12 gauge takes up a ton of space, right? Just huge. By the way, number 4 buck is my favorite home defense load for 12 gauge. We should do videos on that. But you know, again, you just look at this difference here. Let's see if I can get out of 22. We got a 308, we got a 12 gauge, we got a 22 long rifle there. So anyway, those are just things that go through my mind when I'm thinking about those crazy scenarios. And I guess to wrap up, guys, just to let you know, we're just in a holding pattern on Project Little 7 due to the weather, mainly. My personal schedule has gotten a little bit crazier the last 2 weeks, but let's see, today is our 8th day in a row of below zero lows. The highs will briefly get, 10, 12, 14 degrees. I think we did have maybe 20 degrees briefly in the middle of the afternoon the other day. So I'm just not going to go out in that kind of cold. It's no fun. It's hard to be, focused on the shooting. So as soon as this cold snap breaks, we'll get back out. I do have 2 really cool loads worked up that I can't wait to dive into. So one of them is we're going to make one more run at those 160 grain Nosler ballistic tips. We didn't quite achieve our accuracy goal. We were off by 0.05. So I want to just try that one more time. And then I have some 150 grain ballistic tips ready to go. So that's a new bullet weight for us. And it'll be interesting to see if we can hit that 2,800 foot per second goal with the 150s and what kind of accuracy we get. I do have a second 7mm08 rifle that'll come into the testing. So I have the Tikka T3X that I showed you guys that we had been using for most of this testing. And I have a Weatherby Vanguard Obsidian, which is a newer release for them. And all it is just all black. The stock's black, everything's black. 22-inch barrel. It is threaded, so I do have a brake on there. And we'll start bringing that into the mix too. Non-floated barrel, which I think will be interesting. I've had several Vanguards in the past, and a lot of them have been sub-MOA for sure, and even better. So anyway, it'll be kind of fun to see how that rifle does. And at the end of Project Little 7, I'll keep one of these 708s and hopefully use it this year for some hunting. And I'll probably sell the other one or trade the other one and move on to something else. So, all right, guys, quick update. Hope you're all doing well. We'll catch up soon.